Call to order the Board of Supervisors meeting for Monday, July 23rd at, looks like 7:02. Would you please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Amy, how about a roll call?
Sure. Supervisor John Stavenus.
Here.
Supervisor Linda Waite. Here. Chairman Dan Wolfel.
Here.
Supervisor Jim Nellen.
Here.
Supervisor Tony Hayne.
Here.
All right, next on our agenda is the meet and greet. We'll go in reverse order. How about Amy? You start.
Sounds good. Amy Fluck, Clerk Treasurer, County Road P.
Tony Hayne, Supervisor Matthew Road. Jim Nellen, Supervisor Lori Lane.
Dan Wolfel, Chairman, Bark Road.
Linda Waite, Supervisor, Bluff Court.
John Stavenus, Supervisor, Whitefish Bay Road.
Sure, Gary.
Beverly Road. Chad Melky, Sturgeon. John Neal, Whitefish Bay Road.
Karen?
Karen Brower, Gordon Road.
Kyle Lee, Bayshore Heights Circle.
Nancy Goldberg, Linden Drive.
Sean McCambridge, Sturgeon Bay.
Okay, good. Thank you all.
Hey.
Pardon me? Oh, did I miss? Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot Laddie.
That's all right, I'm on for Laddie Chapman, Linden Drive.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on our agenda is public participation. Sorry about that. Public participation. Before we begin, I'd like to read a statement. This month, the board will begin reviewing and updating the rules of order under which we operate. These rules have been in place since 1997. One of those rules has been enabling the public to give direct input to the town board through the use of public participation period at the start of each town board meeting. Public participation gives our townspeople an opportunity to address concerns, issues, or comments on activities that the entire board may not be aware of or would like the board to consider for future discussion. Public participation at town meetings is granted by the board to ensure participative government. There are no laws, ordinances, state statutes, or anything else that govern whether we grant this time for direct input to the board. Of course, citizens should feel free to contact any board member outside of this monthly meeting to address their concerns. The board encourages this activity and frankly desires this input to perform the responsibilities of the job for which they were elected. After this public comment period has ended, the board will then engage in discussions on the topics listed on our agenda. We will not be acknowledging comments from the floor unless the board feels there is an essential contribution that needs to be included in the discussion. So with that as a backdrop, if there's anyone wishing to speak, now would be the opportunity to do that. So, Karen?
Just little updates from the Sevastopol School District. We had our brand new elementary principal, Aaron Hiltz, start this month, as well as he's also the assistant middle school principal. And Melissa Margraf is now our new pupil services director. As some of you may have noticed, we've seal coated the front of the parking lot and with some new striping with an effort for some more safety as well as better traffic flow, and it seems to be working very well. Dropped off my daughter a few minutes ago, so. Some things that are coming up in the next few weeks at school. Summer school is currently in session and about to end this week, when we had almost double the participation this year as we did last year for summer school, so that's a great success. Registration for the district is August 6th and 7th, Monday and Tuesday from noon until 5:30 for both days. And there will be middle school orientation on August 6th at 6:30 and freshman orientation on the 7th. As well as the elementary open house when those little ones can come into school and see their classroom and hug their teacher for the first time and bring all their supplies. It's a busy day that day because it's also the annual meeting for the district. And then, of course, school starts on Tuesday, the 4th of September. So that's all I have.
All right, Kyle?
I'd like to address the board on our survey we had for the community on our building project. Options 1 and option 2 had, option 1 had 40% overall supporting it. Of the non-parent, non-staff members, 31% of the people supported it. Option 2, the addition and renovation, had 37% of all participants in the survey in support of it, and 29% of the non-parent, non-staff were in support. And that's the majority of our voters are in that section. We had 915 people participate in the survey, which was a 30% response rate. School Perceptions was hoping we'd have at least 20%, so 30%. We're really thankful folks took the time to do the survey. Over 50% of the folks who took the survey were 65 and older. 86% were residents, and the town of Sevastopol were 55% of the population, which is the majority of our population anyways. So we want to thank everyone for participating in the survey. The CFAC's taking that information we received on July 10th. We have another meeting with Bray Architects and Myron this Wednesday at 6 o'clock in our IMC, and we're going to continue moving forward because our building still has some issues that need to be addressed.
Anybody on the board have any questions relative to that? I do. When I read in the paper, I was left with the impression that your Wednesday night meeting almost sounded like as if you were going to cast your lot with some number, simply because it sounded like the right thing to do at the time because the community was thinking positively about doing something.
The community overall supported us going forward with some sort of referendum movement, correct? That was at 64% of the population decided we should be doing something in that regard. And we were also very fortunate in our non-recurring operating cost referendum had great support as well. But if we're going to make the November ballot, we would have to have, the board would have to have a resolution by the end of August, and therefore the CFAC committee would have to have a recommendation to the board so they could move forward if we're going to make November. If we can't make November, it could possibly be April. At this time, school districts are limited to regular elections for holding a referendum, which is November in even years and every April. You could do the primaries, but it's more likely to do it during a regular election.
Okay, thank you. Any comment? Anyone else? John?
7/8 of 18, there was a four-wheeler that was spinning donuts.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
7/8 of 18, which is on a Sunday, roughly,
Yes.
about 7:30 p.m. There was a four-wheeler spinning donuts down at the parking lot, down at the boat ramp, that did damage to a truck. He was followed down to South Cape Point Drive, to the Steve Nielsen property. The people that were staying there were from Minnesota. They wanted a cabin for a weekend. That's one thing. I don't know what the repercussions are from, number one, having an ATV on town property and doing damage. You can see the donut that's still laying there from the gravel being spun up. I told the person whose truck it was, you should have called cops right away instead of coming this route. But he's not that kind of a person. He didn't want to deal with it. He followed the kid down to the property, got the address, talked to the father, and the father really didn't do anything about it. As a town board, it's something to think about, that maybe they should be cited for something. It needs to be addressed, I guess.
That would be done by the sheriff, not by the town.
Well, it happened on town property. It's one of those sketchy things that I told him I'd bring it to you, and that's what I'm doing. Okay. And then the other thing is, it seems like the kayak businesses are trickling down from Sheller Park to Whitefish Bay. The boats that are paying registration and docking fees are not being able to use that dock like they should. Two boats had to sit for over an hour to get out of the water.
I understand that. That'll have to come back to the park committee.
Yeah, that's something else that, like I said, they brought it to me to bring to you. I'm just a middle person.
Right.
And there's a lot of things behind it why I'm doing it. And the other question is, back in April, we had our annual meeting. How is the motion that was on the floor for finding a new legal advice? How's
That
that
was brought up at the annual meeting and as a, what's the word?
Advisory.
Thank you. It was an advisory referendum, not referendum, question. The bottom line is that we will not be making a switch. The only area that there was overlap in the county with us was with the city. And in the end of June, Randy Nesbitt resigned as counsel for the city of Sturgeon Bay. So we have no issues with his response to our inquiries and things that we need from him. And there's no opportunity for him to have conflict of interest because he does not represent the city of Sturgeon Bay, which is the only entity that we do business with in this county through the fire committee. So we're not going to make any changes. Okay. Anything else from anyone? Okay. Thanks for that. We will move on to the meeting. First thing that we should do here is adopt the agenda.
I move to adopt the agenda as posted.
I'll second it.
Oh, that's good, and I should have asked Amy if it was properly
Yeah, it
noticed.
was
And it was,
properly
see, it covers our tracks. Okay, motion by Linda, second by John. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried, all right. Thank you. First thing then we have is the approval of minutes from the special closed meeting on June 18th, also the Board of Supervisors meeting on that same day, June 18th, and the Board of Review, which was conducted on June 25th. So a motion would be in order to approve those if no one has any changes or suggested changes.
You want one motion
One
covering all
motion,
three sets?
one motion would be good, I think.
All right, well, I will move to approve the minutes of the special closed session meeting on June 18th, 2018. The regular Board of Supervisors meeting also held on June 18th, 2018, and the Board of Review held on June 25th, 2018.
Hearing a second.
I'll second that.
It's apparently everything on the left tonight. So we have a motion by Linda, second by John, to approve the minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, pending business. This is a carryover from the last couple of months. We have Chad here, who was here last month, and he has updated, updated the costs associated with implementing the PC automation email project. You've had a chance to take a look at this. Ballpark without the equipment, around $2,600 to establish the accounts, to do the necessary work so that we have backups for open records requests, also for the license that would go on, that would be required for each machine, et cetera, et cetera. We'll talk separately about the equipment, but this is the starting point in terms of where we're going. The one thing that I couldn't clarify, and maybe Chad has the answer to this, were you able to touch base with Jason?
Yes, I was. Today I did meet with him, and he has no issues with that. The county board member, I believe it's Linda, I think, using her tablet or her the service that she uses for the county. We can add that email from the Sevastopol to that. That's not an issue.
So we could save not having to purchase and have her have to carry 3 devices around.
Correct.
Okay, well, I think that would be good news.
This is the size of the surface that
Right.
Chad has in mind. Separates from does come apart, but I like it. It's quite easy to use. The keyboard is fairly substantial.
And everything comes to you as a PDF from the county?
Right, so we would get an email, for instance, we get an email from our clerk Amy with a PDF document, and then we could download it onto here. And like I have folders set up on here, meeting packets, vouchers, whatever, so fairly easy to use.
That's good.
And I have cell phone Wi-Fi at home, and I have yet to encounter any problem. Sometimes it takes a while. I mean, if you're downloading 150 pages of a packet, yes, it might take a while, but otherwise it's fairly quick as far as downloading. I assume that's what Chad would set us up for, correct?
Yep, everything would be set up from a software basis, whether that's email. That's primarily due to open records requests and just town business being done, but specifically on those devices. So, yes, I'll be setting all that up, and then, if if you need help with getting it set up with your own Wi-Fi at home, we did built into that, I think we talked about, Dan and I have some training, so we're gonna go over some, I think a couple blocks of training with each and every one of you, making sure that you know how to use your devices. Some of you may be a little bit more advanced than others, but we'll make sure that everyone's at the right level.
And we would probably use, Dropbox to distribute it? Is that what you would?
You can certainly use any type of medium. That's something we can discuss as we move forward. You know, passing the documents around is kind of nice the way via the email. It keeps that chain. There's some other more secure methods to do to transfer documents, more so in Dropbox. So we may go that direction instead.
That's fine. Whatever your recommendation is based on your experiences, you know, more than adequate for me. Another question that came up, which I'm glad it looks like Jason will let it, if we go with the surface units. The surface units are, and this is a tough one to nail down. I mean, the price goes up and down $100 almost every other day, but roughly right, $800 to $900 for a unit, and that gives you 8 gigs of memory, or RAM as you call it, and a 256 gigabyte solid state drive. Comes with a keyboard, and you would get a stylus so that you could make notations on the device. And then over hopefully a short period of time, we would migrate away from hard copy to using this for the meetings. In our discussions last month, we talked about giving Amy one, and I don't have an issue with giving Amy one, but I don't frankly know what Amy's going to do with it. So I'm kind of curious. Have you given any thought to that yourself? And I haven't had a chance to talk to you about it because you were...
Pam said it was very helpful for her to help board members with if they have any questions, so that she can see
okay.
what they see, and then how to troubleshoot things so that we're not always going to chat for everything.
Okay.
And she said if she takes it sometimes at conferences, she can delve into her email there, so let's say Linda wouldn't have to sit at the desk for...
Okay, well, that's good. I did not have that conversation with you while you were at school or whatever, and I thought, well, that's fine. And we've already saved enough money on Linda's that we could afford one more. Or you could share.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure, baby.
All right.
I guess I got one question though.
I have a couple questions too.
Like the committee members, they're still gonna have to get the mailings.
Correct.
Now, are we gonna get a mailing or are we gonna get it on our laptop then?
You would get it,
On the laptop?
you would get it on the laptop.
Okay.
And so what would happen is if you were at a county board meeting or like Linda, that would prop up and sit up and you would scroll through and review, and then you would have a stylus so that if you had some comments that you wanted to make and so they were visible, you could then make those comments on the screen. But your email accounts and all the stuff would come through this.
Okay.
And I think, Chad, you also talked to the fact that if he needed to, he could put it on his iPhone or iPad or whatever.
You could, in regards to that, I would make sure that we're always, you know, if you had your email on there, I would always, any other business that you might do, like documents or anything, I would always try to do it on the device that's provided to you by the town.
Well, yeah, that's defeating the purpose.
Right.
It is, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you know, depending on what's up, I agree with you. So, no question there. You had any other questions?
No.
Okay. So,
I looked at the comparison of the 3 products, Chad, and the Dell 2-in-1, which has the most storage and probably the most specs or whatever, key specs, has the lowest rating. So do you know why?
Depending on where it was, and that's a good question. Dan and I have been kind of going back the last couple of months, so he would send some ideas. You know, the problem with pricing a lot of this stuff that he had is that it kind of fluctuates by $100, $150. Sometimes you get a really good deal, and then you can pick up a couple of them. But when you're looking at reviews and stuff is like that, it depends. I'm not sure the site that was pulled from. I think Dan might have gathered that information. I can take a look at it.
I think I pulled this stuff.
But if I reference it, I could probably give you a good idea.
I think the issue with the Dell was when I reviewed them, it pretty much gave you the best value
Okay.
for the money, I think the negative was that they felt the battery life wasn't up to up to everyone else's standard.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you look at it, it includes so much that it looks to be a pretty solid value depending on who you look at. But the question really doesn't make much difference to me which way we would go. I just want to eliminate having to have Linda have to carry another additional device.
I would definitely lean towards the solid state device that's the 256 gigabytes in size.
Yeah, that's $799, I believe, sale price.
And then, you know, it's always depending, like, 8 gigs is I would recommend your minimum RAM size. Anything more than that would be beneficial. As you see here, you have the Microsoft Surface, 4 gigs of memory. I would, you know, that is a little bit low. We can always add RAM modules to it, but that's a little low, as well as the, you know, the Surfaces are more expensive generally. But it, like Dan and I found, is that it depends on when you hit it, when you're gonna go buy these things. You may find a Surface that meets what you want for that pricing point that you kind of want too.
Yeah.
So it's really when you're looking for it, and, you know, the time of day sometimes it just all of a sudden we have a deal on it, maybe Best Buy or Newegg or all these different manufacturers are out there, and you get one that's in that pricing, that area.
One of the Surfaces that I checked out when I was in Green Bay at Best Buy, for example, was $999. They had it on sale that day for $799. It had 8 gigs of memory, it had an i-Core i5 processor, but it only had 128 gig solid state drive. So then you have to find the next one. So it's going to be a timing thing, I think, you know, relative to what we spend. Now the Surface units, you pay extra for the keyboard and extra for the pen. The Dells include both of those, so you kind of vacillate back and forth, but then it's a tough nut to crack, trying to compare apples to apples here, comparing apples and oranges. So I think the bottom line is whatever device, you know, we can end up with is going to be somewhere in that $800 to $900 range. We get lucky on sale, it might be $750 or $700, it just depends. So. Sure.
Question for Chad. I thought the annual maintenance was a little steep, so I can see where, okay, so the first unit is going to be so much per month times 12 months, but when you have 4 or 5 identical units, couldn't you get a discount for those additional ones?
You're talking about the $12.50 a month?
The $12.50 user fee or whatever.
That's nothing, I don't negotiate that, that's Microsoft.
That's Microsoft's
Oh, that's
Office
Microsoft.
365 license.
Yeah, that's their business pricing, that's standard, that's,
Yep.
the reason that they have that, and it's actually not whereas Door County the government has the funds to pay for people that provide exchange email service, they monitor it, they do all the updates, they do all the integration, they go. So they pay a staff member for that, where unfortunately it becomes very expensive to hire someone to do that. For a town of this size and this, any other area that's not a city has it difficult to hire these type of individuals to do it. So Microsoft, Google come up with great products for that for businesses, and that's just another what we're using here is that's the service we're using. With that service, you get Microsoft's Office products, so you get all the products.
Okay.
And so that's their $12.50 a user per month that they charge. It's just standard. I don't know of any other better rates that they give for government. So.
Does that include an antivirus or anti-spam or anything like that?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't, you have to add it.
It's in there. No,
Yep, and that's actually a much better, the antivirus is actually a product that's actually we can get it for fairly cheap, because we can get a 10 user license with that. So even though we won't be using 10 for all of you, but we may find that we have some machines out here in the town that we can actually use that software on. So I foresee that'll be fine, the 10 user license. And that's actually not that bad. And that's usually for about a 2-year license, 2 to 3 year license.
And that's what's called Bitdefender, if you're looking at the document down.
Antivirus?
Correct.
That's what you'll see Door County going to. The government will be eventually going to that. Right now they have Sophos, they got a good deal on it. I know they've been kind of not happy with it as much, but they will hoping going to Bitdefender. It's one of the #1 rated antiviruses out there.
So the software license would amount to, well, I have it at 6, but that'd be $900 a year for the software. That's Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and it's updated on the machine, so that's where that charge comes from. The only other charges in here are Chad's for setting up the email retention policies, for doing some training, for doing the install of everything to make sure all the units are configured correctly.
Now, does Amy have Microsoft 360?
We're going to take her machine up.
So that will be, and then will that be an additional $12.50 per month as well? And what about the laptop? The laptop too, or not?
Well, I've got the 1250 figured at 6. So,
Oh, and that included Amy's and the laptop
Right.
and 4 units. Okay,
So,
gotcha.
I think we're okay there. So we would have 5, we'd buy 5 boxes, and you would keep what you have. Anybody else have any questions here? Amy, Tony? Jim?
No, I don't.
On page 2, he talks to the training and what we would do. We'd set up a couple hours. We kind of walk you through what to do, how to do it, make sure we don't have any issues. And then after that, Amy becomes our support. Totally.
And that would include emails for everyone?
Yes, of your individual email. We have to determine how we would set that up. You could use your name, I believe, right?
You'll be able to access it, we were thinking, first initial, then last name, and then using what's currently your website, that'll be your ending to it, that'll be your email ending. So that's part of that process of integrate, like I told Dan, I said I'd give an estimate, because sometimes we just don't know what it takes, so I give an estimate of kind of what it's gonna take. It can be less than that, the time that's on there, the estimate. So, and I presume it probably will be. Like I said, it's just you never know kind of what you're gonna get into until you start doing this stuff. Because the transfer of the email, the domain, is based on, other people. I have to contact other people to get that started and get access. So, so that's kind of where we're at.
If we change website providers in 2019, which there's a general conversation about that, will that impact anything from your end?
No, not really. It's based on with the domain name. It's basically, that's what the email. So that'll change with it. It'll just flow it.
So
It's
it'll
all
be
part of it.
transparent. Okay.
It's normal. They'll probably get a hold of me and we'll talk and it'll be all right.
Okay.
Dan, if we were to proceed, how long would it take us to be able to implement this?
Well, we'd have to pick a day when we think the price is either going up or down. I don't know, I guess a couple of months at the outside, but you tell me. I mean, it'd take us 30 days to get equipment and configured.
Let's say you open, let's say you say, let's do this, depending on what you want, if you want me to order, you order laptops or whatever devices that you do, I'll come pick them up, and then give me 2 weeks, to get them set up, and then we'll set some dates up to integrate them. I'll probably meet with each individually at your houses and just bring it to you, and then go from there, so.
So probably 2 months at the outside, at least a trial kind of thing, and then see how you'll probably end up with some redundancy for the first month or two so that you can follow through. But I would think we should be able to accomplish at least the email portion of the stuff is relatively quickly. So,
Okay. Sounds easy on paper. I said it sounds easy on paper.
yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
All right. So does anyone else have a question on this before we take some form of action on it?
We're going to, are we thinking, I think we should put it in next year's budget. Because we don't have any money set aside for this now, correct?
Well, we did identify funds before we started this conversation a couple months back. We had the breakwall CD, which turned out that Amy had not cashed, and so we could use those funds. And if you're looking at $4,000, we're looking at about $6,500 of that amount to implement this. So I don't think that the email part of it should wait. I understand the issue with the money, but I think as long as we have that fund to use, we should put it to good use. So,
I had one other question on that. Chad, if you get run down by a gravel truck, who's behind you?
Who's behind me? I have like I said, that's a good question. I've had other businesses ask me that question. I make sure that I have contingency plans, that there's information available to my wife, family, that they know how to get that information to you guys. In your regards, Amy's gonna know a lot of the same information that I would know. So, that or Dan would, passwords, whatever that is. However, to access your email, she would have that access, because if I don't need to always be involved in those requests for open records requests. So if that makes sense. Hopefully that answers your question, I guess.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So I guess I got a question too. So that the money we spend on these, that was a $10,000 pre-qual.
Correct.
Is the money that's left over for that going to stay in a CD for, in case we have to do something at the Whitefish Bay dock?
No, we had decided when we were going to cash that out last year during the budget discussions that we were going to cash that out and use it, but because of the time at which it was due to expire, she had never done that. So even though we had it, we didn't use it, so. But I don't know what we're going to do with it. I mean, could go back into the general fund.
I mean, the water's high right now, but if the water starts going down, we're gonna need a new ramp down there.
Yeah, I don't know. But we can figure that, work on it.
Well, then I think budget time, we should put some money into the budget for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of the budget,
Go ahead.
do we need an amendment then? To change our cash applied, so we have the cash, but we need to amend our revenue to say we're using 6,500 of cash applied, and it's going to go under office equipment.
We were always intending to take the $10,000 out and placing it into the general fund. So does that need an amendment then?
Well,
We had no home for it at that point in time.
one of our income revenue categories, of course, is assigned/applied from general fund, which is cash balance applied. We used to call it cash balance applied. So if we had a project that we were using cash for, we would put the 6,500 in there as a revenue and then expense it out, 6,500 to office equipment. Or am I overthinking things?
I'm between two treasurers, I can't tell you. You have to tell me. I mean, if we need to do it, we can do it, it's certainly not.
Yeah, it's no big deal
it's no
to
big
amend a
deal.
budget, to amend a budget.
I mean,
It's
we
no big
can-
deal, just a resolution.
Right, and we can
Correct?
do that. I'll tell you what, we can certainly,
I mean, you could certainly take action and amend it.
right, I say we can certainly do that and turn around and take a resolution next month to amend what we've spent or whatever. And we can investigate that further. I'm sure there's another treasurer somewhere we could rely upon.
Well, the motion
There's three of them.
could be
No, I'm just kidding.
subject, yeah, the motion could be subject to amendment of the budget if necessary or if required, or
Okay,
it just looks good on paper when you have the action, it's traceable and.
all right. So, do you want to proceed with this, which would require a motion?
Are we proceeding with the 2,580 estimate from Chad plus 900 or 800 times 5 or 6 or?
Right. Well, we'd have to leave it at roughly right 654. No, 5, excuse me. 45, right?
That's 70.
72.
We'll round it up, I would round it off to 7,200, but
It's fine. Let's do, I have no idea on the wiggle room. Let's just do 7,500 so we don't have some issue with a couple of bucks. And then you can make, if you want to, you include it, the amendment to the budget. We can do that as well.
No, I'm
So who's
confused.
making the motion?
Well, I'll make the motion
I
if
thought
I
you made
can,
the motion already.
if someone can take me
We
through
don't
the
have a
math.
motion yet. I didn't make a motion.
No, I'll make the motion, but I'd like to understand the math.
Okay, you got $2,580 from Door County IT.
Yep.
And the question's going to be as to what number we use for the Surface, Dell, whatever the heck they might be. So if you use 900, hopefully it'll be 799 or whatever. So you'd have $4,500 there,
Times 5.
times 5, right?
Okay.
And you'd have 2,580 for,
It'd be 5 times 9, not 45 times 9.
right.
Okay.
900 times
Yeah,
5.
okay. I thought you were,
And then you'd have the 2,580 for Chad's implementation. So those would be,
Roughly 7,100 there,
That's right.
yep,
plus the licenses.
which turn out to be, for this year, would be 4 months.
Say
Yeah, about half of that, 450,
500.
not even that.
I just want to make sure we have enough room so that if we get surprised by $100,
Yeah, we don't have to come back and redo it. That's why my thought was do 7,500, and hopefully we'll save some money out of that rather than spend it all, which would be the objective.
okay.
Can we ask Chad if there's anything we're missing?
I hope not,
Can you
but
think
is
of
there
anything
anything we're
we're
missing?
missing, Chad?
The only thing I can think of is that, keep in mind that the cost, the recurring cost will be for that Microsoft Office product that you brought up. So that's something that we had discussed at town credit card, whatever. It's always kind of the easiest thing to get that set up initially. The antivirus won't, I think it's a 2-year or 3-year, I think in there, the pricing. So that typically will, 3-year, it's a 2-year? Okay, in 2 years that'll expire, and then you just re-up for that price again. So you won't have that cost for the antivirus next year, but you'll of course keep that cost with the Office products, unfortunately.
Well, I think we should do it because I think it's important. It will enhance transparency. It will make it easier for townspeople to understand what's going on. If one of us should retire or resign for one reason or another, we, turn the equipment over to whoever their successor is. And I think that the likelihood of losing something, if we in fact use the cloud, is de minimis. And for all those reasons, I think we should do it. I would ask one question: is there any doubt in anybody's mind that now that the county has gone in this direction, that it was the right thing to do? Linda?
pretty sure that's so too.
Well, we have 21 supervisors, and they each have their own Surface, and as far as I know, they all use them, or they should be using them. There are still a few supervisors that request a paper copy, which anybody, could still request a paper copy, I suppose, but that kind of defeats the purpose, especially when you have a very large packet.
But the opportunity of having effectively a data warehouse with all of this information available is, I think that
Right.
there's a profound benefit that I think accrues to the county.
Like I said, I save each of my packets, in the folder by year, so if I were sitting here at a town board meeting and I wanted to quick see, oh yeah, I remember that from September of last year, my packet is right there, and I could look at the minutes or see when it appeared on the agenda or whatever.
I think that's another
And
reason.
you've got your emails right here too, so.
I think you can reclaim the institutional history of what you've done, which I think is also advantageous. So I would move that we proceed as outlined in the materials. We may want to, and we authorize the expenditure of funds not to exceed $7,500.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second that motion, if you think 7,500 is enough, and also then, subject to an amendment of the budget if that is in the best interest as far as our auditors go.
Well, and I think that the amendment should be amended in that fashion, as you identified.
Amy, you have all of that? Mm-hmm. Okay. We have a motion on the floor from Jim, seconded by Linda, to approve moving ahead with Door County IT and acquiring equipment to automate both our packet information as well as to create town email accounts. And the amendment to the budget is part of that motion and costs not to exceed $7,500. Any further question on that? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. All right, Chad, I'll circle back with you. Thank you. Okay. Next on the agenda is road work. And before you are a couple different things. One item that I had Amy copy out to you was the bid documents that were prepared for Bodwin. As you know, this year, we used Bodwin for the first time to try and better understand the process, to make sure we're getting what we're supposed to be paying for in terms of road repair. And so I wanted you to see the documents that he in turn prepared for the bids. And also, you only received, I think we only copied out one or two. There's actually another one for Nelson Lane, which I have here, so if anybody wants to see that, you can take a look at it. So it gives you a chance to see what they all incorporated. I think they did a nice job for us. I think when we were here for the bid openings on Friday morning, Linda and I were here. It was an extremely easy and painless process, and we've certainly been through more pain in the past, as some of you have seen as we've gone through this entire process. The bids were, quite frankly, very surprising. It turns out that Door County Highway is significantly below Northeast Asphalt on all of the roads that we have bid. And I'll take you through a couple for instances, even though that you have it for the benefit of those that are listening. For example, on Peterson Road, where we had requested bids, we are doing a stretch of road from Jorns to Walker. And the bids from Door County Highway were $43,000 roughly, and Northeast Asphalt was $56,000. On West Shore Drive, the bid ranged from $44,000 and change to $61,000. And on West Shore Drive, the bid went from $55,000 to $74,000. Obviously, I have not seen that kind of delta before, and as it turns out, the primary reason for the difference in cost is that Door County Highway Department had secured firm prices on the oil that they use to pave the roads and had locked in a price for the year. And as I understand it, Northeast Asphalt was acquiring its oil from either the Ashland or Superior Duluth refinery that, if you recall back a few months ago, had an explosion and or fire. And as a result, they were unable to secure their oil through that, and I guess had to buy it on the, quote, spot market. So the disparity between the prices for the main ingredient in the pavement is what's driven the difference on the prices. And as you see here in front of you, it's significant in terms of that delta. If you take a look at our bids, we bid both a 1.25 inch overlay, and then we also bid a wedge, which brings the road grade up, and then put an 1.25 inch overlay on. And you see those as alternate bids, one in Peterson and West Shore. And so I would recommend that we go with the wedge, which gives us a better quality road that'll last longer, and they'll do an 1.25 inch overlay on top of that. If you take all of the Door County Highway bids, they come in at $186,815. And our budget for road is $200,000. But we also have 2 sections of road that we have to have repaired this year, which we have authorized the county to do, which is Rudy Road. If you remember for the tour, this road was all broken up from the winter at a cost of $3,250. And also Apple Road, to take care of the problems there. That's another roughly right 6,600. So all told, we will come in just underneath our $200,000 budget for these roads and for those repairs. So if you have any questions, please feel free to bring them up.
Well, we're getting $20,000 in the trip aid,
That's correct. I did.
so that will take 20,000 off that 79,000 on Nelson Lane.
Correct. I did not
The
take that off.
6,600 on Apple, is
Yes.
that a chip seal?
That is, he's going to repair all the broken sections and the potholes. They'll
Yeah.
manually do that, and then they'll put a chip seal coat on like they did before. That lasted us 10 years.
Right, I did walk that
So-
road yesterday, and yeah, the edges are really crumbled off.
Yeah.
So it would take more than just a chip
Oh,
seal
no,
or
right.
seal coat on
He
it.
has built in there that we will take
Yeah.
that road, and
Okay.
he'll have that up to snuff before he chip seals it. So,
And I'm glad to see that the bids included that curb on Peterson, because that
runoff
is a
curb?
very steep hill there, and
right.
I looked at that too the other day, so I'm glad that the curb is on there. So if that totals up to roughly 100, let's say 170,000. Roughly,
Well, would be,
that's less than 20,000, so.
okay,
I'm saying 60,000 for Nelson, 108,000 for Peterson and West Shore, plus Rudy and Apple. Is that
Yeah.
correct, about
I got 175.
175,000.
Yeah.
And we're already at, my concern is we're already at our snow plowing budget,
Oh, right.
and we got November and December to go. Could Apple hold off? Can we budget and do a decent job in 2019, or?
I already had given him the go-ahead on Apple.
Oh.
That's underneath our maintenance
Okay.
budget. So we still have that. We haven't spent anything out of there. I just lumped it all into road construction, which I think is what, 24,000 road repair?
What are we at for snow plowing, Amy?
190,
Okay, we got 2,000,
We're
so
right
that only
there.
gives us a cushion of roughly $20,000 to get us through. What about road maintenance?
that's what I was saying. I did not, I could have put that under road maintenance, so I just left it as part of road construction.
If Apple and Rudy went under maintenance,
Right.
that would be fine. I think, yeah.
What do we have
I
there?
guess looking at maintenance, road construction, and
12,000.
snow plowing.
That's right. We have 12.
25,000.
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
12,000 in there for road maintenance. Oh, I don't have any problem with that at all. I just put it in total.
Well, like you said, we have 200,000 budgeted, and that comes up to roughly 175.
And we still have the road repair, so either way, we can move it. I mean, I'll put those other two under repair, that's not an issue, because we know we're gonna need some money for snow plowing, so.
Do you think a wedge is necessary on West Shore, given the amount of traffic on there?
Well, the issue, I think, is, at least I shouldn't say the issue, the recommendation I get from everybody is that the wedge is a far better road that lasts us, and it is only a $9,000, I think it's a $9,000 upgrade.
Yeah, roughly.
And it definitely needs it on the Sylvan View Circle piece. That is just a total disaster. So,
The wedge makes it at about a 2.5% grading.
yeah.
The water runs off from it faster.
I mean, we've done the overlays in the past, but they don't give us the length of life out of the road if we do.
Because then the road would settle in the middle, and then you'd probably might have holes in the middle.
What's the width on West Shore? What's the width on West Shore? It's not our standard road width, is it?
I don't know.
I don't think
He's
it's
got it here
24
or
feet.
not.
Yeah.
Well, we make up for it with the corner around Sylvan View because we're doing that whole intersection
Oh, yeah.
back down into West Shore. So, I don't know that I can give you that, Linda. But I still think we'd be better off doing the wedge and overlay there than just doing the overlay itself.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You wouldn't want to do a road without a wedge.
Yeah. So there's really, I guess, I don't think there's any opportunity to do anything other than just use Door County highways. So, I mean, we've got a good price, at least from that perspective, maybe to our benefit for a change. So
And
motion-
that's a bid not to exceed that price.
Correct, not to exceed. So they could always come in less. They've
Yeah,
done
right.
that in the past.
When?
Oh, last year. They've actually come in below.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Can we get a total? Looking for my calculator. I can't find my calculator.
What are you trying to get to?
I'm
Linda?
getting can we get a total if we decided to do, all right, wedge and overlay for Peterson at 52,733, correct? I'm looking at Steve's sheet here. Right,
Yep.
here. And if we did wedge and overlay on West Shore at 55,17, so we've got 52,733 plus 55,017 plus 59,650. I've already subtracted the 20,000 on Nelson Lane, right? Oh, that's 167,400. Is that right, Amy?
Correct.
And 6,600 for Apple. And 3,250 for Rudy. $177,250.
So that leaves us 22,000 plus 12,000 for road maintenance, so that leaves us with 34,000 left in potential snow plowing.
That should work. That should work.
Unless we're willing to take shovels and cut down on the plow. So,
I'll follow you.
all right.
It's your opinion then, Dan, that that's an appropriate number to reserve for snow plowing?
You know, that's,
I know
we
it's-
have no idea. When I started on the board, we were spending $40,000 a year for snow plowing. You know, last year, we spent $100,000,
Yep.
and we did it in, what, 4 months?
Yeah.
4 months?
If we get 30 inches of snow, that isn't enough.
Yeah.
If we get 2 inches of snow,
But I mean, we have a general fund. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time we'd had to use that, but that's the reason we have the reserve, so. But versus spending it all, you know, it's a gamble one way or the other. We don't have another road we're gonna do for $22,000 anyhow. So we'll leave it sit in the general fund. So. All right, so Linda, I'm guessing you're gonna make a recommendation here? You seem to be teeing it up, so I could be wrong. I mean, John or Jim or Tony, whatever they'd like.
I think John wants to move.
where? No. I make a motion that we approve the bids for Door County Highway.
I think we should specify the amount.
The amount was 170,
So, Peterson,
okay, for Peterson Road, 52,733.75. West Shore, $55,017.50.
Nelson,
And Nelson is 79.65, and then that's minus.
less 20.
Who's making this, me or you?
I'm sorry.
Less 20,000 for the LRIP. And then the repairs to Rudy and
Apple.
Apple. I don't have them in front of me.
Should,
I think, just as a matter of nicety, though, that the contract we're letting with regard to, let's see, with regard to,
Door County Highway?
yeah, just give me a second. Peterson, pardon me, Nelson, I mean, that's the entire amount of the contract. We're looking to the state for $20,000, so I think the authorization should be for the entire amount. And then we'll just, and we know that we'll get a $20,000 from the state, but I don't think that reduces the sum total of the contract that we're letting.
Good
I
catch.
agree. So it would be roughly 197,000.
Yep.
So 197,000.
Which is right where I was when we started all of this.
All right.
All right. So do we think we're close again, Amy? So you back the 20,000 back out?
Right.
Okay, so we have a motion for roughly right, or one,
197,250,
all right, 197,250 to award the bid to
the Door County Highway Department.
County Highway Department. Okay, we're making progress. Do we
A
have-
second.
There we have a second. All right.
Okay.
Motion by John, second by Jim, to approve the bids on the reconstruction of Peterson, West Shore, and Nelson Lane, the award to Door County Highway Department. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay. We still managed to take more time. Anyway, Door County, Door County. Clark Lake Dam safety concerns. Just, this is more an FYI than anything else. We did receive approval from the DNR to place what I'll call basketball-sized buoys, orange buoys, at the mouth of the dam to restrict access in that area by boaters. We passed the ordinance last month. We have to publish the ordinance, and we also have to provide signage at the 2 boat launches on Town Line and I think it's Shower Park Drive, or Shower Road.
No,
Shower Road, is it, on the east side?
be Clark's Lake Road,
Clark Lake Road?
right straight up the end, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's
Okay.
Clark's Lake Road.
So anyway, we have to do those 2 things at the same time that we can put up the barriers, and we'll have the park department employees do that. So just as an FYI, and that we did receive.
Now, wait a minute here. How deep is the water out there?
Pardon me?
How deep is the water out there?
So I
'Cause
was out
my
there-
helper with the park employee
Right now,
is
it's
not very
about,
tall.
2.5 feet, maybe.
I know that he'll be able to get there.
And do we have to keep re-putting them back in like the ones around the swimming beach?
We shouldn't have to. We have all the cables and everything came, and we have to just determine how we're going to attach them to that riprap. But I'm assuming an eye bolt and a clip with a lock on it ought to suffice. So we have the buoys, everything's here, it's out in the lobby, and once we get the publication done and I get the signage done, we'll string the cable, so I would assume sometime in August that'll happen. I have talked to the people at Clark Lake, they know about it, so see what's up. Hopefully, yes, hopefully they'll still be there. Okay. Any other questions on that one? All right. On the landfill, the last of the topsoil was spread by Lily Bay. It's basically all done. We've received a letter from the DNR that they are good to go. So hopefully that project has moved off into the distance. The only thing we have to do is make sure that trees don't regrow in years to come. So every couple of years, Amy, put a note on there somewhere that we go out and knock down anything that grows. Or Gary, call us if you see a tree growing.
Gary's got a mower.
You call that topsoil, that is not really topsoil.
It's a good grade. It is what it is, Garrett. There's nothing.
Nobody's worried about analyzing it or anything?
They already verified that, but I can't, I'm not gonna go any farther there. New business, Sand Hill Farms. This is Amy. Sand Hill Farm LLL, Sweet Willie's Grill. You wanna tell us about that, Amy?
I was approached by Sean McCambridge and Robert Lamoni in regards to a food truck that they have at 4100 State Highway 4257. They wanted to apply for a Class B liquor license, which would be B as bar. And they did provide all of the necessary information with the application. They did pay the fees. And I did publish it, so they are all set to go on my end.
Do we have an idea when they're gonna try and open that thing?
He was saying possibly this weekend, but it doesn't sound like that's going to happen.
Okay.
What if he moves that thing? He's got to go, it's tied to that specific
I
address,
did-
right?
Yes, I did speak with the Department of Revenue, and they said that the liquor license is only good on that parcel in that area. So if he would take his truck to move it to a different site for, let's say, a wedding, he would not get that license to go with him. It stays on that parcel.
Okay.
I do have a question. I went over this, and I don't know who it is. The applicant is, I believe the applicant, because his name is either Robert Lamoni or Door Sand Hill Park LLC. Later on, it talks about, you're supposed to indicate the date of registration, and there's a further reference to Sweet Willie's Grill LLC. I went online. They're all registered. I have no idea who's receiving the license. I don't know who the applicant is. There is an owner of the license. Whether it's transferable is another issue, but I don't know who it is. And I don't think we can, I hate to be difficult about it, but I don't know how we can approve something when it's not even clear on the face of the document who the actual applicant is and who's going to take ownership of the license.
Wouldn't that be the agent?
No, the agent is an agent. The agent doesn't have the indicia of ownership. There's someone in whose name that license is being issued, who has some ownership over it. He may not be able to transfer it, but this is, it's quite frankly, it's not clear. And I hate to rain on his parade, but I don't see where on the face of it is we have clarity as to who's actually submitting, who's actually applying for the license.
I have to ask Amy, but
You must have the appointment of the agent and also the corporate authorization or whatever. What corporation are they using? Are they using Sandhill or are they using Sweet Willie's?
I believe he's using Sweet Willie's.
Oh, okay. He's here.
But Sweet Willie, what is it? Sweet Willie's Grill LLC is separately registered. It's an entity, it's a legal entity, but it's listed down here as being the trade name. Are we supposed, are we issuing the license in the name of Robert Lamoni, who's listed as a name of an individual name on the presumably where the applicant is to be identified? And then there's a further reference to Door Sand Hill Park LLC.
If I may, some of the, clear up some confusion. Door Sand Hill Park was a manufactured home community that I managed for Robert Lamoni in the town of Sturgeon Bay. And I think where the confusion came in is he also has, who operates the property there is under Door Sandhill Farm. And the park is no longer in business. The farm owns the property, and I will be operating on the property as both the owner of Sweet Willie's Grill, and then I'll also have I have the seller's permit for paying the taxes and all for the income.
And whose name is the seller's permit?
It's under Sweet Willie's Grill, Sean McCambridge, myself.
And Sweet Willie's Grill is a separate LLC. It's registered with the state, isn't it?
Yes, I'm separate from Door Sandhill Farm, who owns the property.
And who's the applicant? Who's going to receive it? And who's-
Myself, Sean McCambridge, Sweet Willie's Grill.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't think that works, but I think, I just don't think it's our job, nor do I think it's the clerk's job to figure out what an application means, how to interpret it.
Would it be any different if a bar was being leased by a company to operate under Sweet Willie's Grill if they're paying a lease fee to operate on that property?
Hypothetical.
So it would still then be under myself.
I realize you're probably up against the deadline, I understand that. And, I have no, I have no enjoyment of raising this issue at the last date, except for the fact that, when you do business as an entity, as a legal entity, as an LLC, you're doing business as an LLC, not as an individual. But then you indicate that the applicant, in fact, is Door Sandhill Park LLC, which apparently isn't,
Probably just an errand paperwork.
And that's why I would ask you to take it back and fill it out properly and submit it to the clerk.
If that's not a problem.
Okay. I'm sorry.
That's quite all right. I mean, LLCs are not my strong point. Give me a good road bid, though. Who did we actually issue this in? Did we give it to?
We published it as Door Sandhill Farms LLC, Sean McCambridge, doing business as Sweet Willie's Grill. That is how the publication read.
And my concern is that at some point in time, if the site is abandoned and that liquor license is freed up, we need to know the name of an individual or an entity that we can go to and inform them that the license has now returned to the town. We don't want to have to be running after people and trying to guess as to who owns the liquor license.
Right. Okay, so, go
Amy,
ahead.
do you have the other two forms?
I do.
Could you take a look at those
Sure.
and see who the applicant is exactly?
And what I'm looking at is entitled Original Alcohol Beverage Retail License Application.
Right. That's the only document we have here.
If we could repair this by simply making a,
Well, we may be able to
we
do
could do
that.
it, but then we have to republish.
Could you play us a little tune while we wait?
You're Sean? Yes. Okay. So did you want the license in the name of Door Sandhill Park LLC?
No, ma'am.
You wanted it in Sweet Willie's Grill, right?
Yes.
You want the license in the name of Sweet Willie's Grill LLC,
His name is.
Perrin, Sean McCambridge, agent.
So all
And
of,
the seller's permit and the federal ID number up in the corner belong to Sweet Willie's Grill LLC.
so why do we have Lamoni on here at all then?
The schedule for appointment by agent was, the corporation was Sweet Willie's Grill LLC.
Oh, okay, that's good. Right?
Correct. And that's the second one.
Sweet Willie's Grill LLC.
His name is right here.
How did we get Lamoni in here at all?
Just cross out the two.
Auxiliary questionnaire, alcohol beverage
Just cross
license.
out the door, Sunday Park. The copy of the license application we have up on top, and Robert P. Lamoni's name is on it. Then the Door Sandhill Park LLC,
I don't know why
can't we
he's
just
on it at
cross
all.
that Door Sandhill Park out? Wouldn't that be the simplest?
Well, why is Robert Lamoni on this at all? I mean, where does he,
He owns the property.
he owns the property? Oh, you know what? That might be it, because the license from the Department of Revenue has to go to the property, not the individual. So if he moves the trailer, the license stays there. But,
But you know, but
Well,
it-
the license goes to the
Yeah.
the LLC, I would say.
That's either,
It's not gonna go to the property.
that's right, it's got to go to either, it's got to be held in the name of either an individual or an entity, a legal entity, LLC, corporation.
For
SCP.
instance, Birmingham's Bar and Grill
Right.
LLC. It will go, the license belongs to Birmingham's Bar and Grill, not Brad Birmingham,
But what
owner
the,
of the property.
and the state apparently has told us that with regard to a food truck, it's not a traveling license.
Right.
And the license is valid at a particular geographic location, which makes sense.
And that's true for all licenses.
You know, if I'm not asking Mr. McCambridge to, you know, to redo something if we can correct it here, but I do want to make sure then that, what about the posting?
Did the publication have the name Sweet Willie's LLC?
Yes, it did.
Okay, good.
Yes.
okay, so back to the original question is, what we want to do is have Lamoni's name off of here. Because there's no need for Door Sandhill Park or Robert Lamoni to be on here.
It's
Right.
not unusual for people to have a problem filling out these applications.
Okay?
You're not the only one who has made an error in filling out this application. I can testify to that. As long as the publication had the correct name in, and if we would allow Sean to amend this right now,
I'm okay with that.
I wouldn't have a problem.
No.
The license is only good for that location.
At that
And the
address.
license would be issued to Sweet Willie's Grill LLC with Sean as the agent.
And as long as,
Correct, Amy? Correct?
Correct.
and will we have a document issued by the state or us indicating who the license holder is, regardless of what the application says?
That is something that we produce ourselves.
Okay,
So yes.
okay.
So we could approve this with the idea is that at the end of the meeting, we have Sean fill out a corrected application
Yes.
and remove reference to Robert Lamoni and Door Sandhill Park, which would put us back in where we need to be and where he wants to be.
That's right. I think I'd be
You
comfortable
would
with
have
that.
backdated that?
Well, could we not approve it subject to the corrected application placed on file before it's activated?
I can do
I don't know why we couldn't do that. And whether we do that tonight or first thing tomorrow morning, you know, otherwise he's paid the fee, we publicized it, everything else seems to be in order. So why don't we take that approach? Let Sweet Willie still open while it's still got air in the tires. See what's up. All right, so I don't know who started this.
Jim did.
Jim started
Yeah, I
this.
did start it. I'm sorry.
All right, so with that in mind, we need to have a motion. You want to take a stab at that?
Yes.
Okay.
I move that we approve the issuance of an alcohol beverage retail license to Sweet Willie's Grill LLC, with the understanding that its agent, Mr. McCambridge, will provide us a corrected application showing that the applicant is Sweet Willie's Grill LLC.
I'll second that.
All right, thank you. Motion by Jim, second by Tony to approve this application with corrections, after corrections, with all those
I guess
items. You have a question?
you've had the responsible liquor license, or the
Training?
training?
Beverage service.
Yes, I concluded that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. We have a motion on the floor to approve this. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Good to go. Thank you. Please see the clerk, get this corrected, and good luck. All right. I'll leave that there. So where are we at here? Comprehensive plan update, kickoff meeting. And Linda and John, did you guys want to say anything more about that? In specific, other than just the announcing of the date?
The date is August 7th, 2018 at 6 PM, right here at the town hall. Tell your friends, tell everybody, and please come.
It's also front page news on our soon-to-be going out into your mailboxes newsletter, so like Mr. Stavin said, Tuesday, August 7th, 6 PM.
And we had a
Everybody-
good turnout when we did this 10 years ago.
Yes,
I mean, we had the back room of the Institute Saloon had good representation. We made a couple mistakes on things we could have done better. Hopefully this time around, with everybody's input, we'll catch those errors. So we'll see you on August 7th at this fabulous facility. Okay, next item is town's rules of order. And what I want to do with this is, we've all had a chance to take a look at it. And I gotta back up here a moment.
It's gotta be
And my thoughts
corrected.
are,
Oh,
is,
it needs lots of corrections.
yeah, it needs a ton of corrections.
Because we're not,
I-
the school part is gone already.
Right.
They mowed that down.
I have highlighted a bunch of corrections, I'm sure you have. So here's what I'd like to do with it. I'd like to take your corrections and all of ours and give them back to Amy, all right? And have her take this document and update it with all the corrections so that we have one accurate document. And I'd bring it back to next month's meeting. The other topic, or the other thing as part of this topic is, from looking at it, are there any things that really stick out that you have a problem with or think we should change or revise? We can tackle that now, or we can bring this back after the adjustments are made to the document and then discuss and literally go through it item by item. So whatever your preference is, I'm game either way.
Well, I have a marked up copy that I'd be more than happy to give to Amy. It also, on the section 31, it addresses executive session, and that should probably also include closed session. And, we meet on the third Monday in April now, or third Tuesday, and that
There is just a ton of
Yeah,
stuff in
there's a
here
ton
that
of
needs to
things,
be
so-
corrected.
Amy is more than welcome to have my marked up copy.
Okay. So from that, I'll conclude that we will hold this over to next month. We will bring it back with the obvious corrections made, and then we'll tackle the topics individually. If something needs to be changed or modified, we'll move on from that. Okay? So take a look at yours, and in the event that, when we come back next month, if you have some thoughts, we can share them and move on. All right. So ordinances and resolutions. You have before you the Town Transportation Wisconsin Transportation System, which is resolution number 03-2018TB. This resolution is at the request of the Wisconsin Towns Association, which we're members of, and as you know, the state does not fund us for adequate road repair. On average, a road in the town can get reconstructed about every 40 years. So obviously, the roads don't last that long. So they took this approach last year as well, of trying to bring focus to this, and so they're asking every town to pass a resolution, which they will then forward on to the governor's office, asking them to go out and fix this reoccurring problem. Last year, if you recall, during the budget session, our road allotment went up. I don't remember the number, but we had a marginal increase, $150 a mile, I think, something. So they're attempting to get the same kind of focus on this problem, and this is the reason that I put this resolution in the packet, so we can pass it and forward it on to Wisconsin Towns Association, who will carry our message to the state. So I'm not accepting a motion from Linda.
How about a question?
Okay, a question, I'll take a question.
So now, under the now therefore, third line, so
Yep.
we're requesting the governor and the legislator to just fix it,
Right.
and include a responsible level of bonding, so if we need to borrow, we can borrow, and adjust our user fees. Do they mean our general transportation aids?
Yes.
instead of user fees?
Well, that's my impression, yes.
That's the new toll booth we're putting up.
Oh, okay.
Well, we are gonna put a toll road in. Yes. Just Fix It was the name of their campaign, you know.
Right.
Probably could have been
Yes.
in
Right, we were, yeah.
italics or something, but basically that's it. So, a motion would be in order to approve that, and then we would forward it on to Wisconsin Towns Association.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 03-2018 TB.
And I second it. And the reason I think it's a good idea is, I think we're going into the, next year may be the fourth session in which the legislature has been at loggerheads. It's been stalemated on this issue. And I think that this just adds to the sense of unhappiness over the fact that we seem to be in this stalemate with regard to funds for highway construction. I think that, which is the reason I second it. It makes sense.
Okay. So we have a motion on the floor from John, second by Jim, to approve resolution number 03-2018 TB, Town Transportation, Wisconsin Transportation System. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right. So we're actually moving on to the financial reports, which you have before you. Fund balances through June 30th. Budget versus actual, January through June of 2018. And you also have the transaction list by date for the month of June. And I have a question myself. The security fence bill, is that a result of the car?
Yes.
And that was paid for by, we are being reimbursed for that?
I need to contact the insurance company tomorrow. They called while I was gone.
Okay.
So
But we don't anticipate any heartburn there. Okay,
I don't believe so, no.
all right.
What did the school, what were they gonna do about the kids
Too
coming
bad
out
we
of?
didn't think to ask Kyle when he
Yeah.
was here. His last conversation that I had with him was he was going to put in your favorite topic, speed bumps. He didn't want to put any more,
How much more
Stone.
speed bumps can they have? It's rough enough down going.
well, the problem
They
is
put new gravel down
Oh,
today.
gee.
they go for the gusto, in the wide part, and then they narrow up, and that's
Then
the
they hit a
race.
fence.
Right, well, it's only the third time.
Yeah.
So, at any rate, his conversation was he was going to put in, the last conversation I had with him, he was going to put in speed bumps.
On gravel.
I don't care how he does it, if it stops, whatever, he's taken back by it as much as anybody, I think, at this point, and didn't enjoy the phone call. So,
Okay.
at any rate, so you have those items in front of you. Any questions on any of that? If not, we'll have a motion to accept those, and we'll also then have the treasurer's report. In fact, I'll tell you what, let's hold, and we'll have the treasurer's report and come back and have the motion. So Amy, you have any comments?
All right. We received our second quarter of our general transportation aids at the end of last month. If we take a look at our interest earned in our budget, we are well above that budget amount by $4,600. We did make our contribution to the Door County Humane Society this month of $2,000, and your second half of your property taxes are due. If you haven't paid the full amount, they're due to Jason by the end of this month.
Okay. Anyone have any questions of Amy or the financials? If not, a motion would be in order to approve and move on.
I move to approve the financial report.
Motion from Tony, second from,
I second.
motions are hard to come by today. Motion by Tony, second by Jim to approve the financial reports. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you. Okay, next we have the approval of vouchers, bills, and claims, June 19th through July 23rd of 18, and I think everybody has signed them. So we should be good to go on that. Sure, a motion would be in order, Linda, if you're feeling the urge.
I move to approve the vouchers, bills, and claims for the period June 19th through July 23rd, 2018, as presented in this packet of bills.
Thank you. Motion by Linda, second by?
Second.
Second by Jim. All right. Any further questions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passed. Thank you. All right, we're down to oral committee reports or minutes. Does anyone have any oral reports that they would like? Because we do not have any written minutes.
I have a very short report.
All right, Tony?
On the dam, I got my first call this morning about the water levels being too low, which is, I know they are. I explained to the gentleman that called me, we put 3 boards in the dam the last week and a half. Without any rain, that little lake drops fast. Our levels are 8.5 to 9.0 is what the DNR says we can be, and we were at 8.55 roughly. And when it gets that low, you can't get your boats out of the docks. I mean, they just can't. So hopefully with putting 3 boards in, it'll start to raise the water level. And he understood. We can't fight Mother Nature. We don't have rain, that lake drops. And then number 2 is at the park. I'm going to brag Gary here and Gilbert up again. They're doing a great job for us. And then today we started, Brent Heverly started working with us. High school junior is going to do some painting, weed pulling, and weed whacking. My hope is to work him into, a couple days a week the rest of the summer. Maybe next year he'll want to step up and work for us 40-hour a week. Gary, how did he work out after you got him doing it the way you wanted?
He understood, it was fine.
Good. I told Gary and Gilbert to take him under their wings. And so Gary finally gets to boss somebody around.
What is his learning?
He knows he can't do it at home.
Yeah.
But anyhow, they're doing a great job at the park.
No, I agree with Tony. You guys, the place looks good. I thank you for that, and my thanks to the Guppy as well. Okay, thanks, Tony. County Board report, we have Ms. Waite here. Would like to tell us a little bit about what's happening at the county. Linda?
Laddie can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do not remember that or recall that we recognized Laddie Chapman and the Sevastopol PEG cable channel last month. They received a merit award from Wisconsin Community Media, correct? For Laddie's recording of the county board tour of the new Door County Community Center / Emergency Services Building. And Laddie was recognized at the county board at our July meeting. Did I forget anything, Laddie?
Well, we also won 6 other awards, which we didn't mention at the county, because they had nothing to do with the county. But the station won 7 awards, plus the school won 1 under our wing. So that's pretty good, I think.
So Laddie was duly recognized by the entire county board
Wow.
and received a round of applause.
And did he get on camera?
Yes, he did.
Okay,
He
that's all right.
came to the podium, we were at the podium, and properly presented him with his award.
Who was running the camera then?
It was automatic.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, county board meets tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock at the Government Center downtown. On the agenda is the Jane Suzuki zoning change. If you recall, that came before the Plan Commission and the town board here to unanimously recommend approval of her zoning change in order to sell a small triangular piece with a garage to her neighbor. Also on the agenda, we're going to have our first look at the capital improvement project plan. That's a list of capital improvements planned for 2019 through 2023. A great idea to plan out as many years as you can. Of course, there's always contingencies, but it's usually around $4.5 million per year just for the capital improvement program. The majority of that is highway work, county trucks, so about, $3 million of that. Oh, and by the way, County HH from Cherry Road to, I believe, Old OR is on the list to receive a repaving for next year. There's also quite a few airport improvements planned over the next couple years. And there's also a resolution to look at the county parks camping and closing hours. So I don't know if that's something that Mr. Hayne would want to look at if they approve that, so. And then, as I mentioned earlier, nothing to do with county board, but watch your mailboxes for the latest edition of news you can use from the town of Sevastopol.
I would say, having had the privilege to read the latest newsletter, that my successor is far better than me. She's done an outstanding job with that newsletter, and when you see it, I think you'll appreciate the effort that her
And
Amy put in
and Amy
to put
also
that
as well.
document together, and I think...
And Laddie with the
That's right,
layout.
Laddie worked the layout, so it was very well done. Okay, thank you, Linda. License and permits, basically you have in front of you the building permit list, lots of auxiliary buildings, but no chicken coops this month. Kind of disappointing, I thought we were on a roll there. You have safe-built inspection permits, Door County zoning permits, all included in there. Also, you have St. Peter and Paul's Fish Boil, the picnic license that we issue for them, which is coming up on August 5th. That's all taken care of through Amy already. All right. And lastly, we're going to go into correspondence, most of which you've had a chance to read. They did cancel the meeting regarding Link Media Outdoor, which was, what do I want to say? They were going to ask for a new hearing with the Board of Adjustment, subject to changes they made to their billboards throughout the county. They withdrew their application to do that, at least at this point in time. You have the fire report, the city's, I should say, this comes to us through the fire department as the city's position, and they give it to us as part of our being underneath the fire contract with the city. Tourism zone, you see the funds there. They send us that. We already know about the payment that we received through Amy, and you have an updated, that's still through April, all of the room tax permitted places through the month of April. And you have a bunch of reports on water quality, and these are all tests from the town well, all tested perfect. Not only did we do the normal chloroform, we had to do a nitrate, which cleared as well. We do that once a year. So that's taken care of. The city's City Sturgeon Bay Fire Department report is included in there. And that is everything that is in the correspondence. Anybody have any questions on any of that? Thankfully, no. Okay. Announcements, we have the Burning Cow Music Festival at the Door Devils Motorcycle Ground, which is July 26th through the 28th. Tony can share with us what it was like after the fact. St. Peter and Paul's Annual Fish Boil, August 5th. The Comprehensive Plan Kickoff Meeting is August 7th at 6 p.m. Have you started putting that up on our board?
Yes, it's been running for
Okay.
about a week and a half now.
All right, I hadn't caught it myself. The 36th Annual Valmy Thresherie, August 17th through the 19th at Country View Road. Always a fun event. Our next Board of Supervisors meeting is August 20th, 7 p.m. here at the Town Hall. And I do have one question relative to that is, did we hear back from our gal on the mural?
We have not yet. I know she's run into her busy season, but we're trying to meet up and hopefully we'll get something done by
Okay.
that kickoff meeting so that when people come to see, she'll have something to show them.
Okay, well, I think we're gonna have we'll have more than one meeting, I'm sure, too, right?
Yeah, it'll be up to Bay Lake Regional Planning.
Oh, yeah.
Usually a kickoff meeting and then usually a final meeting.
Okay,
Right.
so we'll have a couple opportunities, all right. Agenda items for next meeting, we're gonna bring back the rules of order. Anything else that anybody wants to add? If not, let me know. And Tony, on John's comment on the kayak tours, I've had people in the community talk to me about that. That might be something you wanna revisit at the park. What's basically transpiring there is Jacksonport put in a fee structure. They also put an improved dock in, and apparently now, in order to circumvent some of that, the kayak companies are coming to Whitefish. And so there's, I don't know, 6 one, a half dozen of the other, so we may want to revisit that. You get a couple of minutes, you might want to talk to your counterparts in Jacksonport, see what's up, and then decide.
We'll have hoping to have a park committee meeting, middle to the end of August. I'll try to wrap up, we'll be done. Cubbies played their last game August 4th,
I mean,
and we're done at the park until the Labor Day.
You know, it might be something we have to look at for next year. I mean, by the time we make a change and do something, summer season's pretty much over, but at any rate, keep that in mind. Okay, I have nothing else. If you have nothing else, the next thing would be a motion to adjourn.
I'll do that.
All right. Motion to adjourn from Tony first, second.
I'll second.
John usually chimes in with one of those.
Yes, I know.
Motion by Tony, second by John to adjourn. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.